New never before seen footage first obtained by MSNBC from congressional sources shows the anger and chaos among congressional leaders on January 6 as they try to make sense of what was unfolding at the Capitol. At the center of it all, their request for help from the National Guard. Here you can see Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is at Fort McNair in the clip that we're about to show you, the military base they were evacuated to that became their command center, grilling then Army Secretary Ryan McCarthy on why the National Guard wasn't already deployed.
Secretary McCarthy and Senator Schumer, we're at Fort McNair. Do you know what's going on? D.C. has requested the National Guard, and it's been denied by DOD. I'd like to know a good reason why it's been denied. We need them fast. I've never seen anything like this. We're like a third world country here. We had to run and evacuate the Capitol. They have not denied it. I spoke to the Secretary of the Army. He's given a full okay to give the National Guard. He said it was not denied. I'm going to call up the effing Secretary of DOD.
Joining me now is Colorado Congressman Jason Crow. He was in the House gallery on January 6th. So seeing this footage and seeing the urgency, hearing the urgency from Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and trying to get the National Guard there, wondering why in the world the National Guard wasn't already there. What does that tell you about those moments?
Katie, it's just a stark reminder for everybody about the chaos, the brutality, the violence of that day. We can't forget what happened, and we can't forget the fragility sometimes of our system. We were very close to having a full-blown overturning of the election. This was an insurrection. There's no other way to classify it. That mob of insurrectionists tried to overturn a legitimate, lawful election. They did so at the request of Donald Trump, and we cannot forget that. I know there's a lot of things competing for people's attention right now. People are raising families, building businesses, doing really important stuff across the entire country. But again, let's not forget that there are moments where our democracy is at risk, and we are in one of those moments still.
I've got a couple more sound bites that I think are worth playing, and this one is Schumer with the acting Attorney General Jeffrey Rosen. Let's play that.
Why don't you get the president to tell them to leave the Capitol, Mr. Attorney General, in your law enforcement responsibility? A public statement, they should all leave. He is saying, his tweet said, we are for peace.
No, law and order.
Law and order.
Yeah.
Why don't you get him to make that statement? Would you do that? Will you ask the president to make a statement to ask them to leave the Capitol?
As he might guess, we're coordinating as quickly and as...
No. Please answer my question. Answer my question.
Senator, I'm going to do everything I can do.
Does that include asking the president to get these people who are followers of hers to leave the Capitol?
We all know how long it took for the president to tell them to leave. Let me play one more before I ask you a question. This is Nancy Pelosi speaking to Vice President Pence.
And we were disappointed that the SecDef took so long to approve the National Guard, but I'm glad to hear that that's at least moving.
All right, so one-sided there. Are all the questions that you have about what happened that day, what led up to that day, have they all been answered?
I wouldn't say all the questions have been answered. The January 6th Select Committee did a remarkable job of uncovering the truth, showing video, bringing witnesses, and telling a great story. That information has been a part of the DOJ's investigation. There have been hundreds of prosecutions of folks. But listen, the most senior people here have not faced accountability, including Donald Trump himself, who was let off the hook by the Senate when they didn't fully impeach him. Actually, let me be more clear, was let off the hook by Senate Republicans when they didn't fully convict him after his impeachment in the House. But the chaos that you're seeing with Leader Schumer and Speaker Pelosi there, they are trying to lead. They are actually stepping into a leadership void and trying to bring order to this chaos. And the reason they're doing that is because Donald Trump was absent. Actually, worse from absent, he's the one who weaponized that mob, sent them to the Capitol, and then he sat back celebrating and watching the chaos and the violence that ensued and did nothing to try to stop it. This is a dangerous man. And Americans should not forget that.
More than 3.5 years later, why do you think there is a divide about what happened that day? Why is there and has there been such an effort to whitewash that day?
Well, there wasn't a divide initially. Let's not forget, in the weeks and months after January 6th, when this happened, there were plenty of Republicans who said, I've had enough, I'm out, we're not going to stand for this. I remember Kevin McCarthy getting on the floor of the House hours after they retook the Capitol and we restarted the certification proceedings. And he talked about the mob. He talked about the violence. He actually called me out as one of the members and several others who helped prevent the takeover of the House floor. So, in that time, Donald Trump decided that this is a liability. So he's going to try to rewrite history. And then his minions and his followers have since joined that. And they're calling, these criminals, these insurrectionists who brutally beat and injured 160 police officers, led to the death of at least one other. He's calling them warriors. He's calling them political prisoners now. This is a rewriting of history that we cannot allow to have happen on our watch. And that's why I'm going to continue to speak out. Everybody should continue to speak out and tell the true story of what happened and how that is a current danger right now.
Congressman Jason Crow, thank you very much for joining us today.